What's up, Fluffle Gang? My name is Luffy, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel. Is Ocelot a good or a bad guy? Depending on which Metal Gear Solid you're playing, your answer may change. In MGS1, he's a villain, but in MGS5, he's our ally. Is it really that simple though? Ocelot's a good or a bad guy dependent on the title we're playing? Things are a little more complicated than that. Let's take a deep dive on Ocelot and figure out once and for all if he's a good or a bad guy. Just a heads up, this video is going to have major spoilers for pretty much every game in the series, including Metal Gears 1 and 2, as Ocelot has his sticky little fingers in almost every Metal Gear Solid. While you're here, please subscribe and turn on notifications. We're so close to 1,000 subscribers. Also, we're going to go in order of Ocelot's timeline, not in order of release date. Up first, we have Metal Gear Solid 3, set in 1964. Ocelot is 20 years old in Metal Gear Solid 3, and still trying to figure out who he is as a soldier and as a person. He's already worked as an NSA codebreaker and has defected, perhaps even faux-defected, as his mom will do this year, to the Soviet Union. He's working under Vulcan and the GRU, but is a major with his own Ocelot unit. Secretly, he's still working for the CIA and KGB, acting as their double agent and spying on Vulcan from within his ranks. 1964 is a fateful year for Ocelot as he's exposed to the man who would become the driving force behind all his decision-making, Big Boss. Though BB's a baby himself during this mission, codenamed Naked Snake, and working to earn his future title as a legendary soldier. Ocelot's mission during Operation Snake Eater is to support BB to ensure BB's mission is a success. BB's mission is to recover the Philosopher's legacy, assassinate Vulcan, destroy the Shagohod, and kill the boss, his former mentor. If he's successful, tensions will relax between the US and the Soviet Union, and the world will avoid World War III. During their mission, BB makes an impact on Ocelot, and he updates his weapons and techniques based on BB's advice in an attempt to win his approval. He even eats BB's food at one point to gain a better understanding of the man.
It was Ocelot.
Ocelot?
He said he wanted to eat the same things you did.
Why would he do that?
You haven't figured it out?
No.
You are dense.
Other than supporting BB, Ocelot has his own objectives. He slipped a fake copy of the Philosopher's Legacy to Eva through BB and also stole Grandin's designs for Metal Gear Rex to give to the director of the United States. Although BB isn't aware that Ocelot is an ally, Ocelot is able to covertly support BB and ensure he's successful in his mission. At the end of MGS3, is Ocelot the good guy? Despite seeming to be the villain, Ocelot helped the world avoid World War III, so he gets a point in the good guy column. Jumping ahead 20 years to 1984 in Metal Gear Solid 5, we see Ocelot in his most straightforward role. His only objective is to support Venom Snake, BB's fake snake, while BB rebuilds Outer Heaven. Venom was meant to draw the world's eye away from BB, and it works brilliantly as we see Skullface and Vulcan go after Venom mistakenly. Even Baby Liquid gets mixed up in the mix-up and takes his frustrations out on the wrong snake. While supporting Venom, the Diamond Dogs get their hands on, and then lose, Metal Gear Sahelanthropus, which is their biggest offense. Skullface and Kaz both say that even with Skullface dead, Sahelanthropus poses a threat to the world.
That thing's mere existence would be enough to enslave humanity to the fear of nuclear Armageddon. It would tear the world apart.
So it would have been better to have destroyed Sally completely than take it home, which would have prevented its hijacking too. Like in Peace Walker, Venom, playing the part of BB, couldn't help but take Sally trophy. And like in Peace Walker though, the Diamond Dogs don't acquire a nuke along with it. It's left ambiguous as to whether or not the Diamond Dogs get a nuke, as it's the player's choice. Venom and his DD stop Skullface from destroying language and kicking off a worldwide nuclear arms race. All in all, the Diamond Dogs, and Ocelot by extension, do good in the world. So you'd think this would be another point in the Ocelot being a good guy category. But you'd be wrong! He tricks Venom into being a body double for BB and hypnotizes him to break down his sense of self, and I can never forgive that. Ocelot, go to jail. After the events of MGS5, we have a couple of games Ocelot doesn't show up in at all, because he doesn't exist yet. He was but a twinkle in Kojima's eye, but we need to mention them. Metal Gear 1 and 2 came out in the 80s, well before any Metal Gear Solid. These two games set the stage though for what would come next. In Metal Gear 2, BB is burned alive by Snavit and falls into a coma. From this moment on, Ocelot dedicates himself to trying to revive BB. In Metal Gear Solid, set in 2005, Ocelot positions himself in the Rogue Foxhound unit under Liquid Snake's leadership. He's secretly working for Solidus, however, and his goal is to get the Rex test data and gather intel on Snavit and Liquid. Fun fact, Ocelot is one of the only people to come into contact with all the snakes, Raiden included. By this point, Ocelot is playing a super long game to try and retrieve BB's body so that he can revive him. Ocelot was one of the founding members of the Patriots, but Zero still had control in MGS1. He was still crafting his AIs and systems. So Ocelot Ocelot couldn't just take BB's body, or convince everyone else to give him to him. Plus, BB is in pieces after his confrontation with Snavid and needed to be stitched together with the body parts of his clones, so he wasn't ready to be retrieved and revived anyways. So Ocelot was biding his time as an agent of the Patriots, working with and double-crossing BB's clones. After the events of MGS1, Ocelot sold the Rex test data on the black market and made himself a ton of money, which would help him fund whatever BB wanted should he have goals when he wakes back up from his coma, and it'd help him fund BB's transplant/medical care, and also any future schemes he needed to put in motion to achieve his goals. Okay, so at the end of MGS1, Ocelot is arguably the bad guy. Selling Rex's test data on the black market made the technology available to anyone with the money to develop it. A lot of bad people could use Rex in nefarious ways. There's no way selling Rex's test data on the black market could have a good guy outcome. I'm not going to judge Ocelot for hustling to save BB. Yes, I am. Ocelot, knock it off and find someone who's actually going to appreciate you. But his decisions with Rex put a point in the bad guy column. A couple years later, in 2007 and 2009, during the events of Metal Gear Solid 2, Ocelot plays Solidus and recreates Shadow Moses to test Zero's AIs and see if Solid Snake/BB's soldier genes can be recreated in a pseudoclone, instead of using his DNA to create a physical clone. He also pretends his arm is possessed by Liquid's ghost.
Ouch! Get out of my mind, Liquid!
Having a possessed arm allows him to get away with things he otherwise wouldn't have, like any outbursts he has with Solidus, or leading Snavid around, like how he gets him to follow him twice when he escapes with Ray, or leaking info to Snavid about arsenal gear to get him to go to the big shell. Obviously, these things serve Ocelot, but by placing the blame on Liquid, he can wriggle free of Patriot suspicions. It also sets up his schemes for MGS4, where he finally makes a move on recovering BB's body and restoring him. Ocelot plays the long game, so of course he sets up a ghost arm plot 5 years before it comes to fruition. Is Ocelot a good or a bad guy at the end of MGS2? This one's hard to say. He didn't do anything good, that's for sure. In fact, he got in the way of Solidus, who was going to take the Patriots out. Seeing as the Patriots are an evil force in MGS4, and the Patriot AIs run out of control and almost destroy the world, if Ocelot had supported Solidus, none of MGS4 would have happened, though it also would have made it that much harder for Ocelot to get his hands on BB. We don't know about the events of MGS4 though in MGS2, so we have to go based on what we knew at the time. I'm going to say he gets a point in the bad guy column. Solidus was going to stop the Patriots, and Ocelot stopped him from stopping the Patriots. In 2014, we had the events of MGS4. Finally, his long-laid plans come to fruition. He separates from the Patriots and raises his own army as he fights to gain control over Zero systems and shut them down. With the system shut down, the nanomachines keeping BB in a coma will cease to function and he'll be able to awaken. Cue the man who sold the world. Technically, Ocelot makes it so that Snavid and Otacon can take out the Patriot AIs, so he rights his wrongs. Does any of that matter though when he's able to revive one of the world's worst war criminals? It's so reckless, and who knows the kind of damage BB was going to inflict on the world had he not randomly had a change of heart. So bad point, Ocelot, for reviving a war criminal. Is Ocelot a good or a bad guy? Good and bad aren't things Ocelot weighs when acting. He weighs whether or not something is in service to Big Boss, and if it is, he makes it happen. So, I guess it depends on what side you're on whether or not you'll see Ocelot as a good guy. At the end of it all, he helped free the world from Zero systems. Systems that, by BB's words, brought the world to the brink of destruction. Ocelot may not have been the one to shut down the AIs himself, but through his impersonations of Liquid and his own efforts to master the system, he brought attention to it to those who would destroy the AIs, the people who had almost destroyed the system 5 years previously, Snavid and Otacon. So in a way, Ocelot saved the world. On the other hand though, Ocelot was also working to revive a man who thought child soldiers were fun and had been killing parents on purpose to traumatize kids and bring them into his army. Had BB not had his weirdo change of heart at the end of MGS4 or had his run-in with Foxdie 2.0, who knows the kind of damage BB would have done to the world. Personally, I don't think Ocelot's a good or a bad guy. He's just a scamp in love with a legend, and if you're unfortunate enough to be in the way of his legend's goals, you'll find yourself taken out of the way by his loyal feline friend. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. Do you think Ocelot is a good or a bad guy? Comment down below what you think. Also, join us in Discord, suggest video topics. We're always talking about MGS. More importantly though, please take care of yourselves, and I will see you all in the next one. Thank you.